Shut up and sit down. Shut up and sit down.
Good evening and welcome to another episode of Build Paint Play. I'm Dave, and joining me tonight is Dan Ozborne. He's that direction. There we go. He's over that way, which is counterintuitive to me in my camera. Hi Dan, how you doing? Welcome.
I'm doing great, Dave. Thanks for having me on, man.
Awesome. And it's basically you're on because of tradition. Jake is not available for the show, so we have to bring in alternate Jake, Super Dan Ozborne.
Is the secret out? I mean, do people know that he's not actually an artificial intelligence? Is that?
I don't know. I would have put Jake and intelligence in the same sentence, but that's on you. He's not here. He's not here today.
I did meet him though. I did actually meet him in person. He's really wonderful and quite tall.
He is quite tall. We have a photo a little bit later on, so you get to see comparative heights between myself, Dan, and Jake. But it was definitely super cool to see you guys next to each other, and the universe not imploding.
Did you see the one where he was standing next to the guy in cosplay, the Marine, and Jake is like full on Marine size, and I'm just like tiny little human next to him, all short. Yeah.
I saw that one. For sure. Going to say hi to folks who are in the chat already. We've got Scott here, Scott Radom, Richard Ralph, Dave Hummel is here, Luis is here, Alan is here, and Tobias Maxilla. I should know who Tobias Maxilla is. I know you've been in him before, but Tobias Maxilla is the shipmaster for, I think, Eisenhorn.
Oh, cool.
So in Eisenhorn, the ship that he travels around on is Tobias. Anyway, Josh Potter has joined us, as has Patrick Keith. Hello. Scott asked the question, Dave, do you know when the Capital Palette 2024 entries and winner picks will go up on the Nova site?
I do. Soon. They're working on it now. So it's already in process. They've got the photos. They need to do some editing, some post-processing as well, and making sure to line up the names and all that. So it takes a minute, but they're working on it.
Yeah, no, that's cool. With 1,067 entries from 500 different entrants, more than 500 different entrants. Getting all that information correct is going to be a bit of work.
It'll take at least 5 minutes or so.
So hopefully soon. Scott will keep an eye on that. We'll probably post something on the Facebook group once they do go up. But we are excited about that. But Dan, have you had a chance to breathe since Nova?
No, not really. No. Let's see. So I think my kids are actually upstairs. They're watching on the big TV. But They got back. They usually spend summers abroad at grandma's house in Japan. So they got back from Japan on like Sunday night, 1 a.m. Then they started school Tuesday morning, and Tuesday night I was already on a flight out to DC.
Right.
And then the opposite. When I got back, it was I landed, slept for like 3 hours, woke up, took them to school, went to work. It just goes, right? Yeah.
Life keeps moving. Awesome.
Yeah, which is good. I think it's good to stay busy, have things you're working on, have things on the side, just go. Don't stop.
Keep moving.
Yeah.
We will let people know that that Dan has had a bit of a sore throat today, so he's going to be sucking on some cough drops throughout the show.
I'm sorry if it's loud. I apologize in advance.
No, it's fine. It's not loud at all. Yeah, I've been crazy busy as well since Nova. Obviously, last Tuesday we had Mike Sibilia and Dan Athanasaur on, and we talked about the show in general, and we talked about Capital Palette as well. Hopefully, Scott, you got a chance to check out that show. Fingers crossed. But after that, since then, I've been working like almost nonstop on both Roman Lapat's book for the Outhold series. Just got some more stuff through from Sam Lentz for his book. Working with the 28 Mag guys on their book, the 28 Collected. We haven't. I don't think we've finalized the name for the book yet, but doing all of that. And then this weekend I went to Assateague Island, camping with my family.
Wild horses, I think I saw. Is that right?
Yeah, wild horses. So Chincoteague, Assateague, there's a lot of wild horses. There's a wild pony herd that is on those islands.
I'm from Los Angeles, so like wild anything that's not a rat or a bird is just mind blowing to me. So.
Nice. But yeah, so things have been pretty hectic. I've not really had a chance to sit down and paint, which is frustrating for me, having spent all that time at Nova at the Capital Palette, getting inspired to paint.
I painted a couple small things. Like I did a shield. These are one of the shields from Little Plastic People.
Oh,
I've
cool.
been doing a ton of these just as like practice and prep, and they're really fun to mess around with. So I think this is like the 7th or 8th one I've done.
Okay.
And then I've done a couple bases. I'm finishing up a big commission that I have, and slowly but surely. But it's 12 Imperial Knights, so it's a lot of work.
It's a bit of work to do. Yeah, that's quite a bit there. Alan says, "Don't go to Australia if you're not keen on wild animals."
No, spiders and insects, absolutely not. No, thank you.
Excellent. Scott says, "I did catch last week's show. It was good to see you, Jake and Dan in the flesh. The still pic of Andy and Steve Garcia judging. They were holding my entry." Also, Dan, your hobby area looks like mine.
Yeah, it's just all basement utility room.
Fantastic. Look at us, middle-aged black guys in our basement doing hobby stuff. Yeah.
I love it. I had never had it. So again, I grew up in LA, like Southern California. They're like murderers have basement, right? So like I didn't know until we moved to Oregon. It's awesome. It stays nice and cool in the summertime.
Yep.
It's just giant and open, and I mean, there's like a heater and electrical box, but whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever. Ignore it.
Yep. Well, later on in the season, you'll hear my boiler kick in. Shouldn't be tonight. We haven't turned the heat back on yet. Still a balmy 80 degrees today, but we're looking forward to get settling into fall eventually.
It definitely makes again, coming from a hot and humid area, it definitely makes painting a little more consistent through the year, because like in the summer things start drying out quicker, so you move to the wet palette, or just you kind of, I think there's a lot of little like subconscious adjustments that we make to our painting,
right?
That during the seasons, like priming, you have to be careful when you do priming, right? You have to be careful of humidity. So just having a nice consistent area to do hobby, and it's nice. It definitely helps out a lot.
Yeah, I always say that that Maryland's super humid. It's kind of like the armpit of America, but it does have 1 week in September. And it is, I think it's either this week or next week, where it's perfect priming weather.
Excellent.
So
do it all. do everything.
While you're priming outside, you just got to do it all during that week.
So when I do priming, I'll usually like always in the shade, right? Always in the shade. And I'll like usually like be inside the house, get everything kind of prepped, go outside, do a quick prime, and then I'll take it back inside the garage or back inside like a covered area. Yep. That way it's not exposed as much. Like here in Oregon, there's this thing called rain where like literal water falls from the sky. Mind-boggling. But
yep.
So I'll do it. I'll like go outside in the porch, do it real fast, come back inside so it doesn't get all wet. And that way you kind of limit those factors as much as possible.
Yeah, that's fair. Dave Hummel says, I think he's talking about your basement. So nice and cool in the summer and comfortably warm in the winter.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice.
Yep. He's still getting used to priming in Missouri as compared to Arizona. A little bit different.
Yeah.
But no, that's cool. Hooray for weather.
It's wild. Yeah, it's definitely a thing, right? And I think again, like there's just a lot of little things that we do that when you go somewhere else, you have to like take into account. Like for example, I taught an airbrush class at Gen Con a couple of years ago, and yeah, there's this thing called humidity that I've never had to experience, thankfully.
Right.
So all the airbrushes in the class started sputtering at the same time, and it's just they had been running too long. The moisture traps couldn't keep up, so you need to work in like little breaks. I wasn't aware of that because I don't airbrush in humidity.
Right.
So yeah, nice. Learning moment.
I had to. I used to have that happen with my airbrush, so I had to also get an inline moisture trap. So yeah, for mine. So I have two now. Two on the go.
Have you ever opened your compressor? Do you have a tanked compressor?
I have never opened it. I probably shouldn't I?
So I traveled to one of Caleb's class, one of CK Studios classes, and I had to go on the plane. So I opened it up and whew, all this rusty water started coming out. And I was like, oh my.
Right. I don't know if my compressor is sort of pricey enough to have a way to open up the tank.
It should. On the bottom, there's probably like a little hex bolt or something. Sure. It should.
And if not, I should just drill a hole in it. Is that what you...
No, don't do that.
Okay, right.
Don't do that. I did not tell you to do that.
No. I won't blame you much. But Mick Palazzi has joined us. Hi, Mick. Welcome. Mick's joining us from Australia. So very cool. Awesome. So should we jump into it? Should we jump in?
Let's do it. Let's do it, man.
Yeah. Cool. Let me do all the fun clicking of the buttons.
I know everyone says it too, but like your intro music, like it's in my head, and like I don't know, I love it. I really like that. Quite a bit.
Awesome. Well, one thing that I will say is actually I've started a conversation with Malev now to see if Malev can do us some like intro music.
He's awesome.
It would be super cool. So at some point, our music will change. Be prepared for that, people. Dave Hummel says, bring on the pictures. Awesome. So, of course, first thing we like to do is thank our sponsor, the Army Painter. And today's focal post is, so the Arena of Escalation is a sort of a thing that a team, I think it's about 4 or 5 of the Army Painter folks, Adam, a couple of the guys in Denmark, building up armies, slow grow, escalation league kind of thing. And just recently, I think as of 4 days ago, there's a new post up there on their blog of Adam's World Eaters. These jackals look fantastic. Really super bright, vibrant blue, lovely chipped white armor. And my favorite thing to go with that vibrant blue, those wonderful orange bases.
Oh, that contrast is extraordinary. Just that pop between the orange and the blue and the white. Yeah.
Yeah.
They just scream. They just jump right off of the page.
Yeah. They look absolutely fantastic. So go and check those out. Adam will certainly appreciate it. But looking good there. Next up, I think the next thing that I was going to show was.
So that's you.
That's me, yeah. So we're talking about tonight's show is all about the Nova Open hobby classes. Something I didn't mention at the start of the show is Dan. You are the guy who coordinates all of the artists, all of the instructors, the teachers who come along to the Nova Open, and you get to arrange sort of where their classes are in both the schedule, in time and space.
Yep.
So you're kind of like a wizard in that regard.
Yeah, it's kind of a multi-pronged and several month-long process. Just for context, 2024 Nova was like a week and a half ago.
Yep.
I've been working on 2025 already for a couple weeks before even 2024. So it's kind of a year long, it's coordinating with folk, reaching out to different people, seeing, what are the artists that have been out that you've had, who would you like to bring in, things always come up. So, maybe somebody, Thibaut Rom a couple years ago, right?
Yep.
He won Best in Show. He wasn't able to come out last year. So it's okay, cool. Who takes that spot? Who fills in? What classes do they have? There's a lot of negotiation, a lot of conversations, a lot of coordination with people, as well as that like extraordinary fourth dimensional Tetris of like, where does this fit? How does that fit? But what about this? And intersections here and there and everywhere. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. So we're going to be talking about that quite a bit tonight, and how we get those sort of things going. But this, I just wanted to say, I showed this photo last week, but this was the first time in about 10 years since I've taken a class at a convention. And so this was with Valbion, who folks follow Valbion on Instagram. You'll know that he does a lot of micro detail sculpting, which is absolutely sort of fantastic stuff. So
How did that feel sitting down as a student?
It was kind of crazy. I made sure I went and sat at the front, so I was like, I could hear as well.
Yeah.
as see the big screen. But it was definitely very cool.
Caleb Wissenbeck and I took a class a couple months ago at Herrick Games and Hobbies on the West Coast. It was with Nicholas Mortensen. And we got there a little early, and I was like, hey, where do you want to sit, Caleb? He's like, I paid for this seat. I'm sitting up front. Come on now. Like,
hell yeah. I'm sitting as close as possible to that teacher. I'm sure that the information degrades as it moves further and further away.
But there's everybody finds that little spot where they're comfortable. Like for me, I'm usually like in the center, but just to the right. It's like the movie theater, right? You've got to find your spot in the theater.
Right. Yep. Fantastic. I guess it is. Well, I just went and sat up front, and amusingly enough, sat down next to my buddy Drew Carrington, who was in that Space Marine cosplay. So that's Drew here. But here's some of the work that we did. So Jason had gone through and cleaned up, assembled and cleaned up the Marine for each of us. He did a lot of great sort of filing work and took off the Imperialis, I think it's called, that goes on the front. Yep. It's regularly on the front of a Space Marine chest plate. Trimmed off a few other bits and pieces. Basically gave us a clean slate to work with. Yeah. Even though in this one we were just talking about beards and hair. So we did some fantastic work with really tiny sculpting tools. Everybody in the class got a set of 3 of his bamboo sculpting tools.
And he made some of those for you specifically.
Yeah, he made all of those. Yeah. All those tools. So that was really cool. It's all part of the class, like the fee. But one of the coolest things that I've discovered, like when we were doing this and sort of putting the putty on the on his face and pushing it around and getting these sort of the side of the shape of the hair here, is we didn't actually need to use any lubricant on the tools because we weren't puncturing the sort of like the little package, the little sausage of green stuff.
You're just kind of pushing it around. You weren't pushing through it, but you were just kind of
just pushing it into place and just sort of moving it around. So because it stayed as that sort of unique, sort of discrete package without any tears or rips in it. It wasn't too sticky, so it was pretty crazy. Something that I learned very early on in that class, which was exciting.
Man, I remember getting like petroleum jelly, Vaseline, like saliva. You were just trying all these different things doing green stuff back in the day, and never getting it to work for me.
Yeah. So it was pretty crazy. That's the next step there, getting that mustache on. And of course, I made the mistake where I followed the instructions. I rolled the green stuff into a sort of a long, thin tube and put it underneath the sort of his nostrils there across his top lip and had them coming down. But the way that I'd done it, it just looked like a Fu Manchu mustache. And Jason came along and basically pushed some lines into this area here on that mustache, where it's like, okay, no, that's actually how the hair would grow. It grows from the lips. It doesn't just all shoot out of the nostrils.
Right. Yeah.
Stream of hair coming out of the nostrils. It was like, I felt so silly when he said, oh, yeah, just try this a little bit. It's like, oh, okay, well, of course.
That's a great point, because I think a lot of these workshops and classes, like one of the biggest values is having the opportunity for that instructor who's right there in front of you. They walk over it because you've got it, right? Like you've done sculpting for years, right? You've done all this stuff, but then make that one little tiny correction, or that one little, like, hold your brush like this. Hold on. The hair would go like that. Those little things, because you've got, out of the 10 steps, you've got 8 of them, 9 of them. Just those little tiny corrections or suggestions. That's what really makes it sell, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And you can, I think you can see in the next photo here.
Oh yeah.
So we've added the hair. You can see these lines on the mustache, sort of pushing back in, and everything there. You can also see on this the hair is a lighter color than the beard. The beard and the mustache are all done with sort of pure green stuff, and the hair is done with mix of green stuff and
milliput.
Yep, green stuff and milliput. So again, different properties between the two.
Did you dive into those details, those little subtle differences between the mixtures and whatnot?
Yeah. Yep. You went through all of those. So we talked about structure and we talked about elasticity. So green stuff has a lot of elasticity. Milliput has a lot of structure. Mixing the two gives you the best of both worlds. We talked about Tamiya QuickType as well. Asked about that, which is a 2-part putty that has the basically gives you the similar result to that mix of green stuff and milliput, but it doesn't. So milliput is kind of water soluble while it's still before it hardens. QuickType isn't water soluble, so you need to use a lubricant for that rather than. So it's going to behave a little bit differently, but you can get very similar results.
There used to be, I think it was Gale Force 9 or P3. They used to make a brown stuff too that had like iron or something, so it would be like really strong. You could do like swords and stuff like that, or like hard shaped armor edges. But that had different property as well.
Yeah. Talking with Jason afterwards, he said that he's thinking about doing maybe trying a weapon class, how to make weapons. So he was going through working on the logistics of it, because obviously rolling out a big flat sheet of putty and then waiting for it to dry is not a very fun class. But he'll probably do some. Here's some stuff I prepared earlier.
Yeah, that's a really good point to bring up too. Is just with all these classes, it's one thing as a participant, and you're like, cool, we're just gonna sit down and do the thing. But then when you have to teach it, like there are a billion considerations to make, and a lot of it is nobody wants to sit around and watch paint dry. So you have to stage your class to figure out, like, all right, well, if I'm expecting people to wait for 45 minutes, what are they doing in that time? Fill that dead space, or make sure it's useful time to segue into those other portions.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a lot of work. Definitely.
Just checking in the chat. Scott has said, Dan, if you attended the pre-con workshop or a previous Supernova ticket purchaser, do you get early access to signing up for the hobby classes?
You don't. I think I cannot speak to the different like Supernova and Super Dwarf Nova and all of that. I think last year we did a survey and the winners were able to register early. If you attend the pre-con class, that doesn't like use the pre-con class is basically a Tuesday, Wednesday. Those go live at the same time as everything else. So if you're attending one of those, that's just a normal ticket. It's just there's only a limited amount of them, right?
Right.
But I think some of those bags have like early registration.
Okay. So,
but I'm not 100% sure.
Something you'll need to send to the Nova, question to the Nova folks, Scott.
Yeah. I mean, I can say as a volunteer of Nova, I didn't have early registration. I was sitting there like waiting to push my button for that ticket I wanted.
I had the same thing with the classes as well. I missed out on Christian Smith's like 3 times.
Photography?
3 times his photography class. I did talk to him though, and we're going to have him on as a guest later in the season. So we'll talk about miniature photography, which will be super cool. As Scott says, speaking of holding a brush, you guys need to stage an intervention for Vince Venturella. Dude holds his brush like a maniac. It's true. I've seen it. I've seen his painting videos. It's amazing the stuff that he can get. Considering,
but it works. So I don't know. Maybe I need to adjust the way I hold my brushes. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
Whatever works, man.
Yeah. Jonathan Palomo has joined us. He said, "Hey, just finished work. Happy to tune in. Haven't done any hobby in a week because I got Space Marine 2. It's awesome." I've been looking at my social media feed and seeing everybody who's playing Space Marine 2, and I almost started doing it. I almost started taking note of everybody who was doing it, and then I wanted to screenshot everything. And then when they come back and say, "Oh, I didn't get my army finished," I wonder why I didn't get my army finished.
I wonder why. Yeah.
Bing, 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 bing.
Video games and that game may be why I have a decade-plus old Mac that can't play. Because if I had a computer that could play stuff, like I wouldn't be here right now. I'd just
you'd just be playing Space Marine 2.
Right. Correct. Yep.
Patrick says that brown stuff was produced by PSI, just like green stuff is. And then Scott's talking about the Supernova bag. It's the most expensive reserve for society's elite, the kind of people Jake wants to tax. No special registration stuff was included. Oh, that's a shame. Oh, well. I hope you enjoyed the rest of what was in the bag, though.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff.
Fantastic. And Dave Hummel says he has had no hobby last week, busy preparing for the Kansas City Ren Fair and the release of Space Marine 2. Oh my goodness.
Oh my goodness. There's a common thread here.
Yeah. And Alan said, "I'm so glad my desire in computer games ended in the arcade. Never got to the computer. If you don't put a coin in it to make it go, it's not for me." That is fair. Absolutely. Excellent. Next up, I think this was Devin Bush.
I think so too. That's correct. Yeah. Non-metallic class, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And he's using the Monument Hobbies texture trainer. One of their. It's not quite a bust because it's not that full 3 dimension. It's kind of a plate with like a 3 dimension coming out of it. Yeah. But yeah, man, that is some. And those are student examples, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. No, I think you're correct there. So, do you know how many classes Devin ran?
Several. I don't have the numbers off the top of my head. I know we had over, I want to say 105 plus total seminars, over 400 hours of classes, and I think 31 instructors, something right around there.
Okay. Awesome.
It was our biggest year. It was definitely our biggest year. And Devin, it was his first year teaching. He was super flexible, super fun to work with, just really enthusiastic and excited. So yeah, he did a couple different classes. He did this non-metallic class. He did a weathering class. I think he did an OSL class as well. My mind is still a bit mushy, so I apologize. I don't remember all the details.
I got to meet Devin at breakfast on Sunday. Yep, very cool guy. He's from the San Jose area, the South Bay area.
He is, yeah.
Definitely very cool. No, my goodness. Sorry, Scott just said he has a coin-operated gauntlet machine in his basement. We're all heading to Scott's place.
Wizard is hungry.
Yeah.
Wizard needs food now.
Yep. Fantastic. So I think this was also from Devon's weathering class.
Yep.
Again.
So there's definitely a couple common threads in terms of class themes. It's always a difficult balance of like, there's a lot of skin classes. There's a lot of non-metallic metallic classes. And when you think about why, like, well, they're big things on models, but also it's a lot of blending. So those skills are really useful for people to learn, as well as weathering is definitely something that, there's a ton of different ways to do it. I took a couple different weathering classes at Nova this year. I took one with Aaron Lovejoy. I taught a couple myself. Amanda Kopet taught one. Devin taught one. A bunch of us did, right? Vince has taught them before. There's common ways to do it to make something look old and dirty and nasty, but the products you're using, the brushes you're using, there's a lot of variations in there. So it's fun to see the way that different folk do it. Even if, like myself as an instructor, taking somebody else's class, picking up on the way that they do it, because they may hold their brush differently like Vince, and that might unlock some super secret tech that I was not aware of, right?
Yeah, for sure. Excellent. Next up, so speaking of your classes.
Speaking of my classes, yeah, there's one of them.
Yep. And I can spot, is that Aaron Lovejoy in the...
That is Aaron Lovejoy. Yeah, I was incredibly honored. So Aaron, this was his first year coming out to Nova. Typically, he'd been at Reaper. There was some talk that they were maybe going to change weekends, which ultimately didn't happen. But by then, he'd already coordinated with us and got the classes. So he taught several different classes: Airbrush 101, weathering, wet blending, true metallics. He taught a bunch of them. And then he signed up for my class, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, like. Really? And he shared, he's like, you know what, like yourself, he's like, I haven't taken a con class in probably 10 plus years. And then he goes, I've never taken an airbrush class with somebody else. And like, here's, a group of awesome folk and an incredibly talented artist. So this was a Nightmare Chrome was the class. I totally used ChatGPT to find something fun. But it was a airbrush robot class, right? So focusing on, I actually have a model, but focusing on true metallics, focusing on just my workflow. Like I love robot things, and I painted probably 100 plus nights. So it was, how do I do the metallics, but also how do you paint the armor panel? How do you use mask, not only liquid mask, right, but also like just this Tamiya masking tape. I've got some right here because of course I do, right? But there's a lot of little tiny tricks that, when you put the things all together, you get an awesome result. But individually, it's pretty simple to use a piece of tape to make a stripe. But how do you make sure that it lines just properly? How do you make sure that it's flat, that you don't get that bleed through? We talked about, we did some OSL as well. But yeah, it was a 6-hour class. We had 18 students. The model was from Soul Weight Studios. I reached out to her. I'm on her Patreon. I was like, hey, would you mind if I use your model? It's really cool, and I like robots and tentacles. And she was like, absolutely. It was fun. It was a lot. It was a lot of work. It was a long class. We were definitely tired as a group, but man, every student just absolutely killed it. And we had people from like brand new airbrush to Aaron, who's literally teaching airbrush classes. So it was awesome. It was a really fun group.
Excellent. I noticed as well you're sort of crouched down next to Leah Gustafson, who's a friend of the show.
She's awesome. We did I got pulled into karaoke last year, and like I'm a pretty sociable friend. Like I'll talk to people, that doesn't bother me. But like karaoke, I wanted to die, Dave. Like I was screaming, and she walked up and she just sang with me and kept me going. So yeah, I love her. She's wonderful.
She is awesome. Fantastic. Louis says to me, a masking tape is the bomb for masking and custom masking.
Yeah, but there's a lot of tricks. Like it's a stupid piece of tape, and you put it on a model, and like you get a stripe. But like, how do you get that stripe to land just right, and then not peel up every single bit of paint behind it, and then to layer on top of it, and then to do that? It's a lot of little tricks to it.
Yeah, that's cool. There's a combo photo.
Yeah, there you go, and you can see some of the student finished models. Man, we had 18 of those monsters, and they are about the size of an Imperial Knight. They are big.
Yeah, I bet folks were really excited to walk away with those.
Yeah.
Unless
And you
they
can
were
see
flying.
the.
Unless they were flying. If they were flying home, they probably were like, "Who can I leave this with?"
Oh. I did send them a message beforehand, just forewarning them it's a big model.
Cool.
I had to get like special bendy resin that wouldn't snap and break. It wasn't this brittle, so like this RPG resin from Frozen. Yeah, and I made. You can kind of see there's some stencils on there. I made those stencils with the Cricut.
Okay.
So take that, live, laugh, love, horrible, evil contraption, and turn it to the forces of good with Warhammer.
Fantastic.
It works.
Oh, that's awesome. So how long was that class?
That was a lot. That was ambitious. Everything I do is ambitious. It was a 6-hour class.
Oh wow.
It was a lot of airbrushing. It was a lot of different skills that layer on top of each other.
Right.
I maybe could have done it in a little bit of less time, but everybody finished. Everybody nailed it. Like they killed it. So it worked perfectly. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent.
Oh, that's a Taro Model Maker plate.
Yep. Is this one of yours?
This is one of mine as well. Yeah. So I did a kind of a basics beginner weathering class. Very different from Devin's, very different from Aaron Lovejoy's, where both of them used acrylics. I lean really heavy into oils and enamels.
Okay.
They're just fun. They're just easy. There's a lot of misconceptions, and especially for yourself and I, like those gamers and painters who've been around for a while. We predate the internet when you couldn't find out why you made a mistake, right?
Right.
So my whole goal of that class is just to put stuff in people's hands, put dirty down rust in their hands, an oil, an enamel, a streaking grime, have them play with it, have them mess with it, talk about the properties of those things. I used to be an elementary school teacher, and so one of the big things is just having people discuss and talk, right? So what do you see? What do you notice? How does this behave? What are the subtle differences, like you were saying, between milliput and green stuff?
Yeah.
If you use this kind of foam that has this kind of density, and then this kind of foam, which is a different density, how do they remove and play with the paint in a different way, right? Brushes behave in different ways. So very much like an exploration of materials, and then throwing it into how do we use that for weathering? How does that apply to our models?
Right. Awesome stuff.
It's fun.
So you mentioned this was Taro Model Maker.
James Taro. He's got a bunch of them too. This is the mechanical plate. So on one side, it's got this, kind of industrial feel, and if you flip it over, on the other side, it's got I should have one in front of me, and I don't. It's got a shield, a sword, a heraldry shield. It's got a tank tread. So I just had people, and that's the hard thing, right? So if you apply oil wash, you got to let it dry. It takes like half an hour. So what are people going to do? So I had them apply the oil wash, apply an enamel wash, flip over the plate, and on the other side, I had them use dirty down rust. I had them do acrylic sponge weathering. So there wasn't a moment where we weren't doing something. We were just jumping from this to that to this to that, just practicing and trying out different techniques.
Cool.
And then when they're done, you can flip it back over. Oh, hey, the oil's dry. Let's keep on working on that. All right, flip it back over. That's dry. It was a lot of work.
A lot of flipping.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. How long was that class?
That was a 2-hour class. It was a much, much quicker one.
Right. Awesome. Looks like we've got maybe Jason in the chat.
Oh, hello. Hi.
Look at those nerds. Hey, Jason. Welcome. Okay. So this is one of Izzy Sanchez's class.
Yep. So he did. I think it was volumetric painting, using an airbrush and painting shadows and shapes on different objects, breaking down, a space marine. You think about space marine, what are the shapes there, right?
Yep.
It's a circle, it's a cylinder, it's a square, it's this and that, and learning how to shade those.
Cool. Excellent. I noticed in the class as well, we've got a lot of the lucent lights.
Yeah, those are from. So the students have the game Envy lights.
Right.
Kit and his team, they worked with us. So we have. I think we're going to expand it to next year, so every table gets 2. But just making sure that every student has appropriate lighting, right? Because some folk are taking a bunch of classes, so they always bring their own light. Pardon me. I'm traveling from the West Coast. I've already got a trunk full of other stuff. I don't have room for light. So as a convention, being able to provide those consistent materials to give everybody the best experience possible, lighting was a huge feedback item, and we heard it and resolved that issue. Now we have light. Let there be light.
Woohoo! Excellent. Malev has joined us. Hello,
Oh,
Malev.
hello, my love.
Welcome. I must have summoned you by mentioning you earlier that we were chatting about intro music, but fantastic. And Scott says, Jason Craze, thanks for all the support at Nova as an attendee. It was awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, Monument was a big. They Monument provided paints for all the different classes as well. So every instructor, again, myself coming from the West Coast, or our international instructors, when they get here, they've got some paints to pick from. It may not be their favorite paint. That's fine. They can bring whatever they need, but they've got a full set of Monument paints. We had the Noosh, that like medium,
Sure.
that weathering medium. We used that in one of my classes. So yeah, we had everything there. People ready to go, man.
Excellent. That is very cool. And there's Izzy up and walking around during his class.
That again, I think, is one of Brian Boswell, one of the Nova owners, and one of my good friends. He took a class with me also, and after the class, he's like, I didn't realize one of the biggest aspects of taking a class at a convention is you get access to that person. You're there with them. They're giving you feedback. They're talking to you. They're explaining it in a way that maybe is different. Because I mean, let's be real, right?
Yeah.
People could just go to YouTube and learn whatever they need to learn. But that's different than being there with somebody in person, giving you that instant feedback, guiding you through the process, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think that was one of the conversations I had with myself when I was at Adepticon and planning, like, was I going to take this Albion class or was I not? And it was $125 for the class, 4 hours. And I looked at it, and I looked at his Patreon, and I was like, this 4 hour class is the equivalent to like 4 hours, or sorry, 4 months or 3 months at like a higher level, like a $40 level on his Patreon. But the kicker was, I would be there.
Yep.
I could say, what about this? Or he could say, little lines here. And you're not going to get that immediate feedback. Not always going to get that immediate feedback from Patreon. But it also, somebody suggested, well, you can go and take the class, and if you really like it, you can sign up for the Patreon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I get that question a lot, like on my Instagram, like people, like one of the biggest questions, like, how do you do that weathering? Or how do you do that true metallic? How do you get that armor trim, And it's like, what's your recipe? And one of the things I talk about in my classes is like, I've done it. We all do it, right? Like, what's your recipe? And a lot of times those artists are like, I don't know. I picked a green, and then a brighter green that has some yellow in it, and then like a darker green that has some blue. Like it's not the recipe, right? It's not the colors. How did you do that? That's the real question, right? What's that technique? What are the steps? What are the methods? What are the approaches? What little tricks do you do to get those effects? And I think that's where those classes, they're just unparalleled to be able to give you that.
Yeah, absolutely. Josh says it's like hanging out with your favorite guitar player.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Malev said, always, how did you paint that trim? And never, how are you today?
Yeah, never. I'm fine, thank you, Malev. Thank you. I appreciate it, buddy.
And Josh said, I just got my Nova orange paint today. We'll taste it on stream tonight.
Ooh, delicious.
Fantastic. I would not advise.
Oh, that's right. Don't eat the paint. Sorry, don't eat the paint. Right. Sorry, Jason.
Yes.
Sorry, Jason.
Fantastic. Speaking of Aaron Lovejoy, as we did much earlier, here's Aaron teaching one of his classes.
Yeah, so, he taught several. He had an introduction to airbrushing class. He did. I took his weathering class, which he sat down, and again, like that model prep. He had a model that was already based, that was already primed. He had done like some sponging on it. He had done some base coats and highlights on it. And then we lean into the weathering, right? Which is the same thing I did for my classes. You have to have weathering is that last step. So you got to, like, the instructor needs to prepare that other stuff. He did, what else did he do? Wet blending class. And he also too, talking about the Patreon, he also, at the end of the class, he'd get your email, and he and Liz sent out a PDF of what you covered in the class. Just
Oh, awesome.
Here's a refresher, here's all those things, and I've got a Patreon. Sign up if you want.
Yeah, that's cool. That's it's something that I think I advised. Like speaking with Valbion after the class, he said, "Oh, so what did you think of the class? What else could I have done?" And I was like, "Having a handout would have been great. Just like a one-page thing with some of the terminologies, just a reminder of like, should we be pushing here or pulling here? How does this work? Or what results did those two things give us? Just as a reminder." But yeah.
Miles David from Little Legend Studio, he does the same thing. I took his Adepticon class, and at the end he sends you a PDF, and it's got some info in it. It's not the whole steps 1 through 1,000, but it's got what they covered, and you can kind of keep building on that.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I think I can't remember when it was. Probably 2015, 2016. I actually taught a class at Adepticon on True Metallics, and I put together so I had my PowerPoint presentation that I went through and talked about sort of at the start, almost like the lecture, and then I just sent people the PowerPoint presentation.
Yeah, it's a big thing. I don't know if you have her photos in there, but I took a class with Kaha, and
yeah, I do.
We'll talk about it later then, because mind blowing, like absolutely mind blowing.
Yeah.
Not that Aaron wasn't also. He was great. But you know what I love too? Right? You know what I love too is, we all have those teachers in life, like that. Miss Maka was my first grade teacher, and I just loved her. Miss Bennett, whatever, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe the teacher that you're like, they were good, but we didn't jive. Like, paint instructors are the same way. You get into a class where you have that personality, and maybe they explain a thing and you hear it and it clicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, that personality is there. The way that they interpret it just kind of clicks in your mind. Last year I took weathering classes with Vince, with oh goodness, I took them with everybody, with Vince, with Sean McAfee, with Sam Lenz. I took like 5 with Christoph Kovalchuk, and everybody explained it slightly differently, right?
Yeah.
Just subtly differently. And you could see that, you could kind of feel it working with those different instructors. And some of them I was like, wow, like Ben Comets kind of laughed at it, and he was like, well, that's how you do wet blending in theory, but let me show you how to actually do it. But it's good to hear and to experience those people and to interact with them and to have a little bit of that relationship, and then you can kind of build on that and kind of keep growing.
Yeah, absolutely. Malev was a little bit embarrassed because he thought that he saw Aaron at ReaperCon, which is the same weekend as Nova Open. Liz was there, but Aaron was not. But Jason suggests that Liz carries a cardboard cutout of Aaron, so that's what Malev might have seen. I can just imagine that. It'd be fantastic.
I can see it. I can see it, yeah.
Like a cardboard cutout of Aaron asleep.
She was messaging me. She's like, did he eat? Has he showered? Is he good? I'm like, he's good. He's great. Are you sure? Are you sure? Just double check, please. Double check. I'm like, he's all good. He's all good.
Fantastic. Brett Abbott has joined us. Hi, Brett. He said Aaron's classes were excellent. It's fantastic. And Scott said, I took a ton of classes. I'll take less next year.
Yeah, I did the same. I was not only taking classes, but teaching classes. I will do less next year also. Processing time is important.
Yes, indeed. But no, that's great. Aaron was there to be able to do those. You sent this through. I'm trying to remember who this is from. Okay,
Those
yeah.
are Amanda's. Amanda Copet.
Right.
Yeah, so she did I know she did the weathering class. I'm pretty sure this is leather, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Yeah. That would be my guess.
It could also be Devon's though. I think there's some similarity in class topics.
Right. But yeah, it was fantastic to see there. And you did like an intro to weathering?
Amanda did, yep. She did an intro to weathering. Those are, again, Soul White Studio. Those are printed out from her Patreon. And you can see just different levels, different colors. Weathering blue is going to be different than weathering a yellow, right? One of the things I talked about was like story. What kind of story are you telling me when you start throwing in red colors with your weathering? Rust.
Right.
Rust. What color is rust going to look like on a blue? What color is it going to look like on a white? You know, do you use the same colors? Like, I kind of experiment with that, and clearly here she's showing those chipping, that accumulation, and those texture layers. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's also another great opportunity for us to talk about when you're putting together the schedule of artists and classes and that kind of thing. How much time do you put towards planning out or looking to have classes for beginners, classes for intermediate folks, but classes for folks who are looking to compete in the Masters division at Capital Palette?
Yeah, that's a huge consideration. And there's a lot of balance. Like, it doesn't maybe show it, but I definitely put time and energy into spreading out the schedule to make sure that if you're a masterclass painter, there's something for you at every level. If you're a beginner painter, there's something for you at every time frame, right? Whatever it is.
Yep.
Also spreading out the topics, making sure that each and every non-metallic metallic class isn't at the same exact time, right? Also working with folk that, oftentimes when I get requests from people, they're like, I would love to teach a non-metallic, a skin class, and a weathering class. And those are the three that like everybody responds to. And it's like, cool. What else? I can't have 45 non-metallic classes. It just doesn't fit, friend.
Right.
So yeah, you got to spread them out. You got to put them in different areas. The display level classes. And it's an interesting thing too. I was speaking with Byron Ord from Artist Opus, and they taught classes. I think this was their second time teaching classes. And one of the things he was like, I would love to get those folk that don't paint their models, right? The tournament folk, just get it out there, the competitive folk. He's like, I would love to get them into my class so I could sit them down, give me an hour, and I'll get you painting better than you've ever painted before. Which sounds awesome, but like, how do you get that word out to those folk of like, hey, come take this class, let me show you.
And when do you put it into the schedule? Is it after the first day of three games, the second day of another 3 games, or?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. At what time frame? Everybody's like, I don't want to take an 8 a.m. class. I don't want to take a 9:30. I don't want to, sometimes the artists are like, don't even bother me before noon, And it's like, okay, like, but also if you want a full schedule, then guess what, friends? You're going to have to wake up a little earlier. Like, there's only so much I can do.
Sure thing. Well, that's cool. I'm glad that there's that kind of, as I said, consideration to being able to approach to look at the schedule and go, here are the classes that are appropriate for me. I think one of the things I was talking with Scott about was I think Ben Comets ran a class at like a 3-day class at LVO beginning of the year that Scott was in, and that was $1,000 class. So across 3 days, you got a whole bunch of stuff, as well as instruction from Ben. But there was somebody in there who had never painted a miniature before. They just had $1,000 to spend, and they thought it sounded like a cool thing. But they did it. But when Ben would talk with some assumed knowledge, the person was like, "What do you mean by hold the brush? What do you mean by blend?" There was a disruption that was going on, so it slowed down the class for everybody else who was prepared. So I think having classes that are very specific to different skill groups means you can pick that and you can ask those questions, the questions that are appropriate for your sort of skill level.
And there's a difference between a convention class that you're taking somewhere. You're going for a 2-hour workshop at Nova, at LVO, at Adepticon, or a local convention, or Gen Con, whatever it is, right? There's a difference between that class and then a full weekend workshop with CK Studios, with Rob Medwell, with myself. I'm doing one in the UK coming up, right? So it's a very different, like, it's different. It's just different, right? You have a different level of the amount of time you're spending with somebody. A whole weekend is very, very different than a 2-hour sit down go, right? A seminar. and you can't always control for those variables, right? So like an airbrush class, Aaron did the 101 class. I did a kind of an airbrushing alchemy. It was like just silly little silly putty. Like silly putty is an amazing thing for airbrushing.
Right.
Who would have known, right? And some people go into that class and they've got it. They're just there for those one or two little things. Some people are like, so show me, how do you turn the compressor on, and it's hard. You got to kind of plan the class for both, and you got to kind of meet those people, and you got to like individually, like as an instructor, I go around and make sure like, oh, Dave, you're really good. Make sure you're getting what you paid for. Oh, Frank, you're brand new. What are you getting?
Yeah.
And then you kind of fill in the middle.
Okay. Cool. What do we have next on the slide here? Jason's suggesting prerequisites on the class description. I think that's one way to tackle it. Be super clear, like there's always going to be those people that ignore it.
Yeah. And it's I was talking to Will Hahn last year. He does that Trump I can't pronounce it, that French, when he paints the shields. And
Okay.
he was saying, he was like, I put in there in my class description, intermediate to master class only, must have experience with wet blending, with non-metallic, so on and so forth. Everybody showed up and did. I've had classes where it's like, please have used an airbrush before, and it's hard, man.
People have heard of airbrushes.
They've heard of, and you know what? Like, I want to support that person too. Like, I want them to be there, and I want to support them. But I also want those people who have a lot of experience. I don't want them to feel like, ugh, this is not exciting.
Right.
I already know this stuff. So it's a hard balance.
Yeah. Cool. There we go. Alan says Trump Luell.
Trump the well. There you go.
Yeah. Yep. Scott said, Jason, that the Ben Comet's class had a clear description and it was a grant. I think the only thing that someone might have thought made it beginner friendly was everything you need included.
That's a good point, man. Yeah.
Possibility there. So this was in Natalia, from Natalia's class. I think this was Chris Chung from Verco's Vault.
Yeah, she had a couple classes. She had a iridescent class, and I don't remember maybe it was skin tones. I can't remember her second class.
I think this one was on emotions. It was focused on emotions. So I think this piece probably has the potential to be painted in a number of different emotions, depending on how you tweak the shadows.
Yeah, absolutely. The colors that you're using, right? Like using reds, blues. How are those pulling out your different feelings and emotions? Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. So, but no, this looked fantastic. I thought Chris did this great sort of worried kind of expression here.
Makes me think. Pardon me. Sean McAfee painted that piece for Capital Palette where I had like tears, and used gloss.
All right. Yep.
To make the tears. That was just astonishing to see.
Yeah. Fantastic stuff there. Yep, there we go.
There she is.
Katarzyna Gorska, aka Kaha. So
she is such a genuine, honest, wonderful person. Like, just talking with her for 2 minutes, like,
yeah,
I was so happy just to meet her as a human being, and then to sit in her class as a student. Like, oh my god, like it was on another level, dude.
Yeah. No, she is amazing. I was fortunate enough, I would say, I got to work with her on Volume 9 of the Art of series. It was just fantastic to learn where her interest in art came from and the things that excite her, and see those passions translated into miniature. So I can only imagine. I've never taken a class with her, but
it is legit. It is a like University 103 level. Like, we all know our craft, right? We all know what we're doing, and we all explain it in different ways. I do like very much like to be, kind of like the army painting, like I do commissions and all that. Like
Yep.
I sat in her class and like it was astonishing. Like I want to listen to it like 4 or 5 times,
Right.
just because I'm like, hold on, wait, like like I'm still catching up. Like you're still going. Like just the amount of thought and energy and understanding of why this color works here, why it doesn't work there, and what you're trying to do across this whole thing, and now paint over it, by the way, and now you're gonna mix in this little color here. Like, oh, it was incredible. It was really incredible.
Yep. That's awesome. Just quickly, Mick Palazzi said airbrush. I think I'm too old for that.
Oh no, come on now, you're all good. We'll get you in there.
Never told Mick. We can always, you and I can learn together. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
Chris Stalker's joined us. Hello, Chris. Scott said, did you guys see the way Natalia rendered the hair on her minis? Wild. I'll take a class from her next year if she's there.
Oh, yeah.
And I've said that Kamehameha style is insane. Excellent. So this was from Kaha's class?
Yeah. I hope she's okay. But yeah, I took a photo. It's just basically like, how do you arrange your colors to bring attention to a certain area? Is it the brush strokes? Is it the color itself? What if you switch it up and you start doing circles? Like, where does that bring your eye? Where does that bring your attention? It's just pushing your thought, the process, the way that you perceive the piece in a very different way.
Right. Excellent. So,
and those were my models that I painted. Yeah.
Cool.
I mean,
working with that triangular.
Yep. Working with that triangle, working with the brights, the yellows on top, which, from just off, I learned just, you take a picture of the model and then take another picture of it in black and white. And like, how does it frame? So yellow is like a bright white highlight, basically. Blue is like black, right?
Yeah.
Mixing that in there, mixing in the shape of the background as well as onto the model itself. And then getting those, but this is just the first coat. Like this is like the primer coat essentially. Because what you do after this is you just start painting over it, mixing in yellow into whatever, that if you're going to do a non-metallic gray for the armor, mix in a little bit of yellow, mix in a little bit of blue, getting that harmony between these different colors, putting it on the whole thing. And the way that she talks about the process of going through these, just fascinating.
Yeah. Excellent. And we also had this.
So the one on the left is mine. The one on the right was the student next to me. And I was like, wow, like, like,
you made a favorite.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. Just astonishing, right? And she was an art student herself. She's like, oh yeah, no, I see this. And I see, oh, I didn't think about that. And it was just, everybody's at a different level. My blends weren't as smooth, weren't as vibrant, whatever. Like I gained and I learned so much and I want to try painting with more colors because everything I paint is drab and brown and weathered and nasty and grimy. And then you go into this class and it's vibrant and jumping off the page.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, so this is basically where you've been adding the gray of the armor into that base piece there.
Yep, that's exactly it. You just go right over it, and then you mix in because the paints have some translucence to them, so you can kind of see those underlayers as well as you're mixing in. And
yeah,
you should take a class with her because she can explain it much better than I am right now. Like,
yeah, sure thing. I think I need to start painting up some busts and then have a larger canvas to work with and something that I'm not already thinking. Okay, it needs to be this color scheme. Something that I can just free my mind of what colors I'm going to use. So that'd be more.
And that's important too, because I tell my students, I'm like, when I do a night class or I do whatever, I'm like, listen, this model is not for your army. This model is for you to practice on. It's for you to experiment with. Because the moment, like I've done it, right, where I've taken a class, I'm like, I'm gonna paint a new Death Guard, and then like my recipe's already in my mind. Those steps are already in my head. I'm not listening. Caleb Wissenbach, I took a CK class. I wasn't listening to anything he told me. I was just doing what I was doing. Like, why did you come here then? Why are you in this class? Like, you need to go in. I need to go in with a free mind, with a model that's not part of an army, that I don't have some preconception with, and just lean into that uncomfortable moment of trying something new and experimenting and learning a whole new technique, right?
Right. Yep. There we go. Malev says the concept of a study needs to come about more in miniature painting. Traditional painters paint studies all the time.
Yeah. Man, and just going back to it, like those folk that have been around for a minute, like you and I, like this was never called art. I never considered myself an artist. I've been doing commissions for 20 plus years and never once considered myself a paid artist. I am, we are.
Yep.
But then you see somebody like Kaha and you're like, okay, yeah, no, she's.
Just a different kind of artist, right?
Yeah. Totally.
Really embracing the art of the artist. It's fantastic. Actually, it's been crazy because I've been, as I said, I've been working on Roman's book, and there's a lot of that sort of conversation in the book. So it's exciting to hear it again through a different channel.
Man, and like I said, I was an elementary school teacher. It's amazing to work with little kids because you're like, hey kids, who here is an artist? And like every single hand is up. Who's an athlete? And then we get socialized by the time it's fourth grade. Studies have shown by the time you're in fourth grade, kids stop raising their hands. They're like, I'm not an artist anymore. Like, yeah, you are. You've been doing art for years. You're a publisher, right? Like you are doing all these things in your hobby time, in your extra time. Yeah. And embracing that and accepting that is so powerful.
Yeah. I have actually had people tell me that I'm not a publisher because I'm doing it myself.
No, I disagree, man. No.
It's like, well, how do I need to go to another publisher to become a publisher?
No.
I don't know. That doesn't seem to work.
One of my good buddies in the tattoo industry, he's been doing, you would state of grace, Horitaka, right? He's been doing books for years and years. It's the same thing. Like you are gathering this extraordinary amount of information that it wouldn't be there had you not been doing these books, had you not been doing these art of books and collecting all this stuff. So, dude, I appreciate it, and I have all of them. They're really wonderful.
Cool. Thank you. Yes. Scott says monument texture trainers are a legit way of getting to a spot to just try a couple of things very quickly.
Yeah.
I think as we've seen, some of these texture trainers are able to just pick out certain areas. Let's do the leather on this part. Let's try some weathering on this part. Let's try some texture on some cloth on these areas. So yeah, definitely.
What was great was Monument teamed up with us, and it's nice to be able to talk about it now because it's been in the works for a year, right? Where they did the salamander, the Nova salamander, and right. It was specific to Nova. It was the mascot for this year, and Jason and his team got that prepared. We had it out there. People can enter it next year in Capital Palette. They can use that for their classes. Same thing with James Taro. He's got those plates. You can use them. Kaha used I don't know the name of it, but that was from a Kickstarter as well. It was those little bust things that you can print. Right. They're fantastic. Little tiny piece. Doesn't cost a ton for the artist. Students can play around with it, experiment with different textures. It's fantastic.
Excellent. Just says there are more galleries opening up to miniature shows. There's one in Columbus, Ohio going on now. I didn't enter anything, he says. Ooh, totally. Ooh. Try and get in on that, Josh. That would definitely be cool. And Jeff says, good evening. Jeff Smith has joined us. Hi, Jeff.
Woo. Hello.
Welcome. Hope everything is well with you. Next up. Oh, I don't think we've got anything from Chistoff's classes. But
he's fantastic. He was out last year. He's also one of our judges for Capital Palette. He's another one, man. His classes were, again, you can look at somebody's work, you can look at somebody's art, and man, you're like astonished. But then you sit down and you hear them articulating why they do blending, why they chose their colors in a certain way, what that means. And it just adds this extra level that I don't get that same thing from YouTube or from even reading a book, right? It's just a different level of interaction. And he's such a wonderful human being and incredible artist.
Yeah. It's absolutely fantastic. So Chistoff also runs the contrast painting competition in Warsaw, which I discovered is it's always in the first weekend in June, which is when my birthday is. So
there you go. Family trip.
Need to take a birthday trip to Poland. Not something I was expecting to say, but yeah, I'd love to go and hang out and experience that show.
Man, they had over almost 2,000 entries last year. They are just explode, and they'll have like a full on. It feels like a university lecture where it's like those the person stands.
Oh yeah.
there's like 100 people just listening to the seminar of the artist, the miniature artist, talking about the things that they do on their models.
Yeah, yeah, that would be absolutely crazy to see. Scott said, oh, sorry, just quickly, Amos has joined us. Hey guys. Scott says, never heard of Justoff, but signed up for the 3 classes because of that crazy name. Figured he had to know his stuff, and man, he did. Scott has since signed up for his Patreon.
Yeah.
So, there we go. But yeah, one of the things that I wanted to make sure that we were doing as well with the Capital Palette and with all the hobby stuff that we're doing at Nova was creating that that welcoming atmosphere for all the instructors and the participants. And just last year, I said just off. So what do you think we could do? What are some other things that we can work on? He goes, it feels fantastic and feels like a family. And this year again, it was like I said it last year. It feels like a family. Thank you very much for welcoming me into your family. So we are excited about that aspect of it for sure.
And that's not something that you can, it's not written down anywhere, right?
No.
Like it's not posted anywhere. But it's there. The reason that I volunteer, I mean, the work that I'm doing for Nova, it's not my full-time day job. It's not my commission business. It's not me being a parent. It's, it's extra. It's a lot of work, but I'm so glad and happy to do it because the folk are incredible. Working with people that are just genuine, good, honest folk, like that's just great. And you're lifting up the community, right? Like I didn't teach his classes, but I helped him be here to teach his classes, and that touches how many other hobbyists,
Yeah.
How many people are we supporting in this community? How many people are we supporting through these classes, through the Capital Palette, just through the whole event as as a larger Nova Open, right? It's fantastic. It's fantastic.
Absolutely.
Oh, it's Jake.
I had to include this one. Jake wasn't one of the instructors, but Jake is a guy that Dan and I have known for years, decades.
Decades, yeah. And he took one of my classes. Jake is he's on the East Coast. We used to work at GW together like 20 something years ago. We bump into each other's managers. We've been good friends. We talk a lot, and every year he's like, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be here on this day. We'll meet up and have lunch. And then we wouldn't happen. It wouldn't happen. And this year he signed up for my class. I saw his name. I was like, oh no, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having a Golden Demon winner and sitting in your class as you're talking about weathering, like no pressure.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Jake is awesome. It was so cool to see him there.
Yeah. He's a wonderful human.
And there we go. So these are the 3 senior managers, I think is your title. At least that's what Mike was talking at the award ceremony. So Dan Athanasaur we had on last week. Dan is Capital Palette. Obviously Dan Ozborne on the right. Our wonderful guest this evening is the Hobby Seminars. And in the middle is it's Tim Young. Is that right?
Tim Young. That's correct.
Excellent. And Tim. Oh, sorry.
He does a Hobby Haven.
Yep.
And he and I worked at GW together 20 years ago at the LA Battle Bunker.
Right.
So talk about connections that just keep going forever, right?
Yep. But I do see that that I now have way too much hair to join the senior management team.
It's all good, bro. It's all good.
Hair on top of my head, not enough hair on my chin.
Yeah. Well, it's okay.
Okay.
We'll make up for it. We'll still accept you, buddy. We still love you. We'll still accept you.
Fantastic. But yeah, so at Nova Open, these are the 3 folks primarily responsible for all of the fantastic hobby stuff. So if you're entering Capital Palette, you're taking a class, if you're sitting down, hanging out, doing some painting, you have these 3 fine gentlemen to thank.
And just going back to the community and everything, like I would say too, with this team, there's an extraordinary amount of collaboration and coordination and conversation between everybody. We are always talking about like, I need this for this, you need that for that. How can I help you? Or how does this overlap? Right? Like if we have an instructor coming out, they're going to be a judge, they're going to be teaching classes, there's just so many overlaps. And I think what's awesome again about that community is we're all working together and we're all supporting everybody else. So I feel that in my work and my like volunteering, and I hope sincerely hope that comes across to our participants and our students and everyone attending, that they feel that we're all working together, that we want the best experience for everyone.
Yeah. No, I think they do. That's definitely come through. Oh, and there we go. I promised you that photo of relative heights. So there we go. You can see that the Dan is almost a head taller than me, and Jake is definitely a head taller than me.
I think he's hunched over because he is. Yeah, you don't see it on the podcast. He's a tall friend, like 6'7", something like that, 6'7.5". He is.
He'd probably say 6'9", 6'10".
Whatever. You can say whatever you want. Once you're over a certain height, you can say whatever you want. Like,
awesome.
And such a great person too. Like it's funny. Like, I was thinking about it the other day. You see all these podcasts, you see folk talking and all that. Like, the truth is, I think a lot of times we're just friends who've known each other for a long time. We're just people that have common interests and are just good folk who want to chat together. And that's exactly what you have here on this podcast with you and Jake. It's what's fun to be around and to meet people in real life too, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's definitely a lot of fun. It was nice to spend some downtime as well with Jake, rather than just sort of live streaming it at the show. I think we showed last week we showed a photo of us playing Unstable Unicorns. We just played a quick game in the evening, and it was I don't usually talk a lot of smack, but during this game I was laying it on pretty thick. And in the end, it was Jake that won.
Of course.
Yeah. At one point where I was almost looked like I was about to win, and Jake had like 2 unicorns in his stable. Everybody piled on me. Everything flipped. Jake won the game. It was great. It was nice to spend that time. But anyway,
I have this interesting luck that whenever I play a new board game or a new card game, I almost always win that first game. And then never again, ever again.
Yeah.
So I get my smack talking in early because I know I'm gonna pay for it later on.
Fantastic. Scott says that pick of the 3 of you is a good illustration of scale creep.
Yeah, I'm glad to be right in the middle there.
225, 28, and 32. There we go. I do feel like a firstborn Marine there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
you and me both.
Fantastic stuff. So there we go. That is the all our photos there from the Nova Open hobby classes, hobby seminars. Is there a term for it? Do we have a label flying consistently, or
art seminars is I think the official, although in my mind it's kind of like workshops, seminars, like panel discussions. So panel discussions were something that we had last year, and this year we kind of grew it a little bit more. So it's basically that lecture style, right? Where somebody like Caleb Wissenbach did a couple with Army Painter this year, where it's just him. He's got his table. He's the only one painting. He can talk about that process. The folk in the audience can ask questions, or they can be open to discussion. But more of a demonstration or actual lecture. So we did some of those this year. We're going to do more, I think, next year as well. Just kind of slowly grow those.
You had one. Was there one with Vince and Uncle Adam?
Yep. Snarling Badger, right?
Badger. Yeah, Snarling Badger talking about their games and writing games, that kind of thing.
I know Gutierre from Infinity. He always does one too, where he talks about all the new stuff that's coming out for Infinity and all the fun, exciting stuff there as well.
Excellent. That's cool. So that's all folded into that same.
Yeah. Ultimately, if it's a person in a room that's art related, it crosses my path eventually at some point. And it's a lot, right? It's a lot to keep. There's vendors, and so sometimes a vendor will come out with an artist. How do you coordinate there, right? What overlap is there? Sometimes it's a game designer. Sometimes it's who knows. There's a lot of different things. So. The truth is none of it can be done by one person. But sometimes you need like a single set of eyes that can be like, oh, hold on. This person, connection there. Hold on. No. Wait, back up. All right, put these together. Okay, good, go.
Right. That's cool. one of the things that you and I talked about at the end of the show, I'm not sure if I should raise this, but we sat down afterwards. We're just sort of swagging in the hobby haven about potential for different kinds of classes or expanding on existing threads, I guess. So, have you had a chance to talk a bit more about some of those, or?
I haven't. I've only been back a week, so I don't have the full schedule available yet.
Oh, no.
But yeah, no, it's definitely something that, like I said, it's definitely a consideration that I take when I'm looking at the schedule of, like, again, like, what if you're a bust painter, right? You're display level only. That's your interest. Great. Like, making sure you've got those options, making sure you have different options as well. Like, you don't want to jump from non-metallic to non-metallic to non-metallic to non-metallic. If that's your only option through the day, that would not be exciting, right? So making sure that there's different topics as well as different genres of classes, right? So like a display level painter, that's going to be different than something that's more army based, right?
Yep.
And what about other stuff like sculpting, right? Physical sculpting, which is, we did it a couple of years ago. Justin Kiefer was out and did a physical sculpting class before the pandemic. We had Ozborne out this year. Do we expand on that? What about digital sculpting? Would people be interested in that?
Yeah.
I'm sure they would, right? How do we fit that in? How do we make sure that those artists that we have coming out, that they've got the space and the time that they need, that their convention experience is good as well? Yeah, I think there's a lot of fun stuff to explore.
Right.
Nothing's confirmed yet, though.
No. I think there's, I know Dave Phillips, who's a fantastic sculptor from Virginia, is keen to see a sculpting category in Capital Palette. And I think introducing something like that alongside a number of sculpting classes, be they conversion classes, which are a little bit more in the style of Valbjorn, or if we were able to get like Africa Mir out to do her sculpting class, how do we build those things together? It's a great sort of discussion for us to be having in the future.
Yeah, and I think we are really open to feedback, right? One of the Peter from Neko Galaxy, one of the things he shared, he was like, it's day one of the convention. People aren't even here yet, and you're already asking me for feedback from a vendor. You're already asking me for feedback as a student in those pre-convention classes. Literally, the convention started half an hour ago. There's already a feedback form right there on your table, right? So we're definitely open to that, and open to growth, open to how do we make refinements, and open to where do we expand, right? What avenues do we expand into, without overstepping boundaries, without crushing other things, but just making that experience better for everybody, and finding the games, finding the classes, finding the seminars that speak to what folk want, right?
Yep. No, it's fantastic. That's super cool. Well, it's been fantastic talking with you about all that sort of stuff, Dan. Obviously, you and I could talk about it forever, but
we could.
But what we're going to do now is we're going to move into another favorite section of the show is checking out the community miniatures.
Oh, let's see it.
So these are minis from the Facebook group, the BuildPaintPlay community Facebook group. So if you are not a member of that group, you can head down to the links below and click that and click to join the group, and somebody will let you in. There is a door, a gate of some kind, to keep out the bots. Yeah. But additionally, there are links to the Nova Open website down below, Nova Open's Instagram, as well as Dan's Instagram as well. So you can head along and check out all the info on Dan Ozborne, including that class that you're running in the UK.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm doing a class at, so Byron from Artist Opus invited me to teach a class in Manchester. So I'll be flying out. It's the first weekend of November. So I think it's 2nd and 3rd. So it's a 2-day workshop for nights, man. We'll go through airbrushing, true metallics, weathering, stencils, masking. If you've seen it on my nights, we're going to cover almost all of that. Yeah, it'll be great. I'm also doing like a real small class here in Portland too, just on weathering. So there's a huge kill team group called Kill Team Cascadia, and they're doing their first ever like small convention tournament sort of thing at the Lloyd Center. So It's fun stuff. There's a lot of fun stuff going on.
Awesome. When you're in Manchester, you see if you should see if you can connect with Tommy Sewell.
Oh, cool.
He lives in Manchester. He knows Byron as well, so maybe there'll be some intersection there. We'll try and connect.
It'll be my first time going to Warhammer World. Like,
okay.
I'm so excited.
Excellent.
Dream come true. Thank you to Byron for making it possible, and for all the students reaching out. There's somebody flying from France too for the class. I'm like, oh my god, that's amazing. That's amazing.
That's somebody who's just they're gonna pop in and it's like, nope, never painted a mini before.
Yeah. So when I was a Warhammer manager, one of my customers, we took a class with Caleb Wissenbach, right, with CK Studios. My buddy Bill had never used an airbrush, had never painted a big model. Like, he's smart, he's clever, he's one of those people that picks things up, but literally like 3 hours before the workshop, he's like airbrushing water onto the hotel mirror. He's like, oh, that looks like a dragon. It's like a dragon, man. It's like Trogdor. Great, I'll be fine, you know.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's a whole another episode of like silly students, and yeah.
Amazing stuff. Nice. Just as I'm going to click the buttons here, Scott has suggested invite 1 or 2 more boutique mini vendors. We're getting existing vendors to bring their boutique stuff. Everything's sold out under the umbrella.
Great. That's a great feedback. Please do. There was a survey that went out. If you went to Nova, please fill that survey out. I guarantee you, we go over every bit of feedback. We take every consideration. Some things we can't do, but we'll do as much as we can.
Yep. No, definitely cool. I have a piece of feedback for you later about the feedback. So.
Okay. Yeah. Feedback is appreciated as well.
Yes. Create a loop. It's gonna be awesome. Fantastic. And Josh says, if somebody wants to pay me $1,000 to teach them how to paint a mini, I wouldn't turn it down. I wouldn't either, my friend. I would not either. Actually, I might. I don't know. Depends on how my anxiety's going.
So, you know what? There's a lot of pressure. I was talking to Andy Wardle. He's doing those classes with GW, and he's like, there is a lot of pressure for every class. You paid $50 to be in my class. Like, trust me, I don't take that lightly. There's a lot of work, but as those prices get higher and as the reputation of the painter goes up, there's a consideration there as well. And we all really genuinely want people to have a great time. So yeah, it's a lot, man. Yeah, it's a lot. Absolutely. Not for the faint of heart, I would say.
Stephen Ryder's joining us. Hey, Stephen. Welcome. You are hitting us right at mini time. So first up, we've got Adam Weller. Adam painted up this Grace here from the Skaven Tide box set.
Dig it, dude.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, doesn't it? He's gone. I was going to say he's kept it like a very sort of analogous color scheme. There, lots of that. The oranges, the pinks, the browns, the yellows, all working through in that section of the color wheel.
And that little bit of blue right in the center. My eye kind of wants to go to that blue, look up to the head, then go up to the staff. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. Beautiful textures on there as well. And all of that non-metallic metal on the staff looks lovely.
Looks good. Looks really good. Yeah.
Nice work there, Adam. Looking great. Excellent. Next up, Alan Borthwick. So Alan's painted up these for Carnival or Carnivale from TT Combat. So some fantastic sort of mercenaries there. I love the model on the
work as well, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. It's almost like a Chaos Star.
Yeah.
But I love the model on the left, leaping over the cask of wine.
Yeah. Yeah, that caught my eye as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, very dynamic models.
Yeah.
Just those red pants pop
on the face. Right? Yeah, the red pants. Yeah, definitely. Great color choice for sure. But yeah, looking awesome there, Alan. Very nice.
I dig it too. Just a difference of skin tones, right? Like, hey, go outside and look at folk that are walking around you. They're different skin tones. Our models should have that too. It's awesome to see.
Yep, absolutely. Seems that I'm going to have to go back and watch from the beginning in a bit. Once I wasn't at work, it had fallen down the mini painting hole. Ice. But You look up and go, oh, what time is it? Oh. But no, beautiful work there, Alan. Looking great. Alan also wanted to send us a shelfie. Feel free to send in your shelfies so we can see how you're storing your minis and bits and pieces. But these are I think the Billy bookshelves from IKEA. So Alan's in New Zealand, so IKEA, he's in Wellington. I think there might only be one IKEA in the country, probably up in Auckland. So not easy things to get hold of, but there's a collection going on in there.
I've had those for a year. Since I worked at GW the first time, like the 2000s, I've always had just a Billy bookshelf with a glass door and just stick my models in there, and then you can get like the little lights. So I had that first set for like 20 something years. Finally, like they went bad, and I got a new set, and they're awesome. You can fit Titans in there. You can fit all kinds of great stuff, and they're easy, easy-ish. It's IKEA, right?
Yeah,
it's easy-ish to build and to set out.
Oh, there we go. I guessed correctly. Alan said that one just opened up in Auckland. Yeah, I have a habit of buying things from IKEA that are absolutely fantastic and perfect for my needs, and then within 6 months they're basically deleted from the range. So I have two fantastic bookshelves that I bought in like 2003 that are perfect for storing, like putting minis in and armies and that kind of thing, but they don't exist in the range anymore. They haven't for like 20 years.
Well, people have been using those Datolf ones, right? Those like individual glass, and those are great. But the thing is they're individual. So if you have an entire wall of them, now you've got like 9 of these individual shelves with these Billy shelves. You just put them all together, throw a glass door on it with you can get some glass shelves as well. Yep. Throw a couple lights in there, and then it's all one. And then they're like, oh hey, I need like a cabinet. They sell cabinets too, or you can some of them have actual books. Go figure. And then some of them have models, and then more books, and then more models. It's really easy.
Yeah, yep, definitely. Scott says if you can't build an IKEA shelf, never purchase Malifaux minis. Absolutely. But Alan also sent us this picture of his wall of opportunity. So, and I think on this photo, Jake asked, "Who's your local store? Could it be mine? Could you come and live next to my store, please?"
Man.
But yeah, fantastic.
I have a very similar wall of opportunity, and there's a local store called Mindtaker Mini, and they resell used items. Okay. So I brought them like an entire Prius full of opportunity for them to sell on consignment. It was great.
Nice. That's fantastic. But yes, send us your photos of your either walls of opportunity or shelfies. Happy to see those. Amos painted up another mini. I don't know. Do you know what this is?
No idea, but that is rad.
It's very important to have Jake in the chat because he will know what this mini is.
BattleTech? It's not BattleTech. It's got the hex base.
Yeah, it's
whatever.
I know Amos was in here earlier. Maybe he's still here and be able to let us know. But yeah, he's definitely having a lot of fun with those sort of After Effects. You got the trace of fire on the right-hand side.
Yeah.
And the laser. That flame is looking wonderful. But painting-wise, I think your mech is looking super cool there.
Yeah, the screens are nice. The greens and the oranges.
Yeah. I do love that connection between the orange on the knee pad, the shoulder pad, and the base.
Yeah. And all the fire.
There we go. It's a mech from Fortress Miniatures and Games, and it's called the Percival.
Yeah. Sounds ominous. Ooh,
the
official title and everything.
Cool. But yeah, it looks very cool. Nice work. Next up, Cal. Cal has been painting some doors for some role playing. Yeah, this one's looking pretty wild. Not sure about the door knocker on the left hand side there.
I did notice that.
Sorry, I had to point out the grim in the dark first up. But,
that's fun, man.
Yeah, come along nicely. Something that's also seeing the like the bolts, the nails on the strapping across the door here. Reminded me that Ozborne has a little
Square
reel.
nails? Was it square nails or something?
Square nails. Yeah, a little reel for how to create square nails on your terrain. But looks fantastic. So yeah, go and check out his Instagram. But looking great there, Cal. Nice work. Chris has been busy again. This is I had it right up until this afternoon. I've forgotten it.
I don't know. They look cool.
The guy from the Legend of the Ten Rings, maybe. Shun-Chi of the Ten Rings on the left, and cool Marvel sniper on the right. So I super apologize. Jake is going to watch this back, and he's going to send me so many messages and say, "Dude, Shang-Chi and Silver Saber." There we go. Thank you very much, Chris. This looks fantastic. I love the work you've done on the gray, like a gray outfit there.
The reds look really nice as well.
Oh yeah,
it's cool.
Oh, fantastic. Looks great there, Chris. Next up, this is Black Panther.
Yeah.
It's looking fantastic. Purple's, I always say, like, people say, oh, white's so hard to paint, yellow's so hard to paint, black's so hard to paint. For me, it's purple. Purple is my bugbear.
Really?
Yeah, I think because you can have, like, there's such an incredible range of purples.
Yeah.
So keeping a consistent purple is tough. But yeah, beautiful work on this purple here.
I really like the. It's funny, they just relaunched that P3. I really like their purples. I've had them. I still have the originals, and I haven't used them in forever. But
right,
I don't think ranges. Certain ranges have certain colors that you may dig, and like I don't know, for whatever reason, I really liked those purples, beaten purple, and I don't know what the other one is.
Yeah, there are a lot of. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of fantastic purple paints.
Yeah.
But keeping it, there's a reason why I've never painted a purple army, because keeping that consistency across a
Soul Drinkers, right? They were purple, weren't they?
Soul Drinkers, yep. It's beautiful work there, Chris. Looks great. And Chris has also painted up Han and Chewie.
I love it. I love that Chewbacca, man. He's just screaming. Really nice browns. That base looks fantastic. Ties in super well.
Yep. It does looks absolutely awesome. And that I love that that sort of more tan kind of look of Han's shirt.
Yeah.
It's just that when you don't see it for very long in the movies, I don't think. But yeah, it looks great. Yeah, there we go. Scott says, I'm with Dave. It's either go too red, too blue, or too chalky. That was a tough one. Steven says Chewbacca sounds. Awesome. I'm not going to do any. It'll be embarrassing. But looking great, Chris. Thank you very much. Clive was working on this Jungle Giantess last week. He's finished her up, and she looks great.
Hey, sold the jungle vibe. Absolutely. Definitely fits in.
Yeah, very definitely. Having that, it's almost like having that triangle of the green. Yeah. Working around the model there, just really emphasizing that sort of heroic sort of stance.
Yeah.
It's apart.
And the colors too, like the armbands, like that kind of sells that like kind of tribal color, right? You would imagine.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's cool.
Absolutely. But yeah, lovely work there, Clive. Well done. John Signing has been painting up some more Lenschnecks. I think in his post he said that he feels like he might have painted too many of them. He said that he was feeling a bit like these felt a little bit sloppy to him.
They look great.
I don't know. I think they look spot on.
And getting some of that speed paint. Those paints are great, man. Those speed paints, they're fantastic.
Yeah, John's been painting, like, his entire army is painted with speed paints. Everybody has that It's that same. So it's well, I can't see it in the back there. But
Have you used the speed paint metallics? Have you tried those out yet?
I haven't yet. I haven't
Oh.
had a project where I needed large areas with shading, but
You can even do small areas with the speed paint metallic. Like it just goes over like a contrast, like a speed paint, but it's
Right.
got metal flakes in it. They're really, really good. I like them a lot.
I'll check them out. I'm guessing that the John has used them here on this guy.
Mm.
And you can see the
Yeah, and they'll kind of like depending on which one you use, they're kind of like just like a contrast, right? They're kind of like shade themselves to an extent, right? But they have good coverage. They mix really well. Throw them on there. Yeah, they're really nice.
excellent. But no, great work there, John. Emma said, yeah, speed metals are crazy good. Speed paint metals. Josh Potter painted up this awesome dragon. As somebody who's painted up a dragon recently.
Ah, cool.
With similar sort of colors, the blue, teal, a little bit of. This was a little bit easier. I used the spray for the purple, and then one dry brush. But yeah, Josh has done a beautiful job here. Is
that a printed model? Is that from? Is that a printed model? Or do you know?
I don't think it is. But Josh will let us know. Yeah, I'm loving the like the texture on the plates under the belly.
Yeah, and the wings, the underside of the wings too. Yeah, that's cool.
He said, "Nice, great minds, right?"
Yeah.
But it's from WizKids. There we go.
WizKids. Okay.
But yeah, great looking model there, Josh. Well done. Justin McCoy. Justin's. I think a couple of weeks ago we saw he sort of started thinking about how he was going to sort of be positioning this. He had a slightly smaller frame, but he's decided to expand a little bit and go for a layered look in that backdrop.
That's cool.
These fantastic looking sort of mountains in the background. But yeah, this Happy Monk is a cool model. Every time I've seen it, it's glorious.
Yeah, so much movement, so kind of joyful, right? Like I can't help but smile looking at that.
Yep. No, for sure. So excited to see the next steps here as they come through. But yeah, beautiful work there, Justin. Luis has been working on his next Space Marine as a Primaris chaplain. See there, he's starting to work on the base first as well, and sort of picking out some other bits and pieces. He's got that rod going on. The Crozius, I should say. Shouldn't just call it a rod. For a second there, I did completely forget what it was called.
Baton, almost like the
yep.
The not cheerleader. What are those folk? The marching band.
The band leader, bandmaster. But yes, it does look a bit like that. If it had wings or some large, chunky sort of mace style things, I would have remembered it a little bit faster. But yeah, Crozius Arcanum.
I think that chaplain's going to club the both of us for not knowing the correct terminology quicker.
Quite possibly. Once it's painted. We've got until it's painted, which I think the way
heretics.
Next
heretics.
But no, coming along well, Luis. Looking good. Scott has painted this up since his classes at Nova. I know we had a lot of fun messing around with this. So this is a character from Marvel United, the game from Simon. And Scott, of course, is in the chat, and he can tell us which character it is, unless you know.
I mean, the eye patch, it's not Nick Fury, is it?
No, it's not Nick Fury. I don't think so.
I dig the 5 o'clock shadow and all that that red kind of blush in there, you know?
Yep. Yeah.
It's rad.
Yeah, it's kind of the focus of it is definitely that face and the depth in the face.
Yeah.
That is Nick Fury, my bad.
It was the patch. That's I was like, I don't know anybody else that has a patch.
Right. There we go. But no, fantastic work there, Scott. It looks great. See, folks, this is what can happen if you apply yourself and spend a bit of time at the Nova Open taking some classes. Or at Adepticon or at the LVO. We've got a whole bunch of classes going on around the world.
I'll be teaching at both of those this year, actually. My first year at LVO and Adepticon as well.
Oh, awesome. Very cool. Are you going to be teaching at Gen Con too?
I should ask them, but I wasn't planning on it.
Should check in with Lynn and see if you can do that. Because this is Nick Fury rules from before the Samuel L. Jackson times. For me, there is no Nick Fury before Samuel L. Jackson. So
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. Yeah, it's always Samuel L. Jackson. Yeah,
fantastic. But no, looks great, Scott. Good work. Next up, a couple of crazy models from Stephen. This bizarre.
I don't know what it is, but you got my attention, friend.
I know. It is definitely attention grabbing, isn't it?
Is it a bug? Is there like a sword and a shield?
You look initially, you go, I see a sword and a shield. I know what's going on. Oh wait, no, I don't. What is happening here?
I dig it, dude. Those colors are almost like a bug. The eye thing on top, right? Insectoid kind of.
Yep. I'm not sure.
I dig the backdrop
too. What it is, Stephen. Tell us what it is. It's yeah. Aspis, 25mm lead miniature. So,
yes, of course. That's exactly it. Yeah. That's what it is, but yes, I would agree with you.
It is very cool. I think you've done a great job on there, Stephen. And you've also this one. Similarities there in the head and the eyes. But
yeah. That's a bug for sure. I got it.
But I do love the sort of the texture you've got in the eyes there, in both of them.
Is this like an Australian thing? You got these kind of bugs out there, Star Trek kind of bugs creeping around?
No, these are a little bit tame for Australia.
Oh, I see. They haven't murdered anyone yet.
There we go. Steven says they're from the Slave Pits of the Undercity, art by Jeff D.
Oh, cool.
Okay. So yeah, digging back in some really old school RPG stuff. This is a cave fisher. I would not want one of these in the dark.
No, thank you. I dig the colors. Really fun model.
Oh, cool there.
It's like those ones you'd find in like the like bargain bin basement, like the 35-cent whatever. Just grab like a by the weight. Like, oh, this is a super cool model from something I haven't seen in forever. Like, that is awesome.
Yeah. But yeah, as we talked about them being lead, they're definitely 80s minis.
Don't lick your paint. Don't eat the paint.
Don't eat the mini either.
Or do, whatever.
There we go. Mick is backing me up there. He said, yep, just need more teeth for it to be from Oz. Yeah. Oh, fantastic. So Julie Guthrie sculpted these. Fantastic. Julie's done a lot of work for Reaper over the years as well, I know.
Oh, cool.
So, awesome stuff. Thanks very much for sharing those, Stephen. Very cool. We must be getting pretty close to Slow Death Games Fest out in San Diego. Was it last weekend? Is it this weekend? Let me know. Hopefully it is soon, but very cool. Excellent, Stephen. So that is it for minis from the Facebook page, from the Build Paint Play community. And next week, Jake and I will be joined by Ben Fail. That is actually Ben's last name. That is not a gag name, which I thought it was the first time I met him. But Ben is Jake's business partner in the store. So, but Ben is a super big Age of Sigmar fan. So we're going to have him on the show for the first time. The biggest problem that we're going to have next week is finding somebody to look after the store while Jake and Ben are not at it. They'll work something out, I'm sure. It could be that Ben will be joining us from the store. We'll see.
There you go. Will he be running like a magic tournament in the background? It's all right, time to switch. New opponents, lists are up.
It'll be Tuesday, so it'll be hopefully Age of Sigmar night. But
there you go.
Yeah, it'll be definitely cool to have Ben on and talking about how things are going with Age of Sigmar 4th edition and Spearhead. So that'll be a lot of fun. But yes, as Dave says, yes, first world problems. But Stephen's trying back in. Looking forward to it. It's a week from Saturday. So for Slow Death Games Fest in San Diego. Awesome. So I think that, my friend, brings us to the end of the show.
Aw, that's so sad. It's
I
over
know.
already.
Already. One day we'll have to I'll have to teach you how to do all of this stuff so that when I can't make a show, you can run the show with Jake.
Oh, that'd be pretty funny.
That would be great, wouldn't it? Jake can be the guest host in that episode.
Well, I might have to update my computer. Like I said, with Space Marine 2 coming out, I have like a 13, 14-year-old Mac. So I
Right.
can't even load Safari to view pictures anymore. Like it's that old.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you
there's
might-
no video games in my future, buddy.
There's no video anything in your future. You might need to do something about that. That's awesome. Fantastic. Dave Humble says, what? 10 minutes early? I know. Imagine what it'd be like if we didn't have Jake in every show.
Oh, he's such a great person, though. He's so much fun to chat with.
Having Jake in every show. It's just his timing does not mesh well with mine.
Did you get the photo where we were like touching fingers and the world will explode? Like, it's the doppelganger if you go in the past, sort of.
Yeah, we did take all of those photos at the show, but I didn't put them in this.
Next time.
Awesome. Fantastic. But yes, we'll be doing that. We did finish 10 minutes early so that Josh has got time to go and get ready for his Twitch stream. So if you want to continue the fun talking about ancient models and cool painted miniatures, you can go and check out JP Got Rockets on Twitch. We'll be starting in about 10 minutes. Is that right, Josh? Have I just given everybody the right information? Let us know. Fantastic. Scott says maybe we can spend 10 minutes talking about Thundercats for old time's sake. Again,
Thundercats. Oh.
so like you need Jake for that. Dan and I cannot talk about it. Dan and Jake could talk about it, not Dan and I.
I remember the cartoon and my dad not knowing why I loved it so much. But that's about Silverhawks. Remember that cartoon also? No, they were Street Sharks. It was all the 80s terrible, whatever.
Street Sharks.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yeah. Good luck with
in
that
Australia as well. No.
one.
Okay.
I don't know.
It might have been.
There was some fun stuff. It is weird, going back, like, it is weird, like, talking about certain things in the hobby.
Yeah.
Like, and not realizing that I've been doing this hobby since 1995, 1996, before the internet was a thing. And it's like, no one was there to teach us how to paint. We had to figure it out ourselves. And now there's this extraordinary access to information. And it's just wild to, like, to old people your mind away with things. I don't know.
You're so old, man. So old.
Now we have like 3D printers and space technology, and I don't know, man. It's wild.
It is wild. Absolutely. But I'm so glad that we get to be wild together.
Yes, thank you so much for having me on.
But yeah, no, it's fantastic having you on. Thanks very much. Glad that I got to spend so much time with you at Nova as well. Very cool. I'm looking forward to catching up with you again at the next show that we're at.
Yeah, we should play a game sometime. That'd be a blast, man.
Yep, it'll probably be Adepticon.
Okay, I'm down. I'm gonna bring some Titanicus and who knows what else.
Yeah, we'll work something out. Maybe we'll do a kill team thing or a combat patrol or something small.
Ooh, that'd be fun. That'd be really fun.
I'm getting old, so I can't carry like big armies anywhere anymore.
I love the table war cases, because when you go through security, like, I kind of situate it so the plastic is open to them, and the security guard's like, "Yeah, you're good, nerd. Go. Don't worry about that." But then like TSA is catching on. They're like, "Oh, tell me about your Warhammer, right? Tell me more." And even too, like, my UPS driver, like, he missed a delivery, and so he put like we sorry we missed you, and he just put in the comments, he's like, "Whoa!" like across it. I was like, "Oh, nice. There's nerds everywhere now."
Excellent. On the Warlord Games Instagram page, they said, "Let us know where you play." And it's like, Games and Stuff Maryland, like at Games and Stuff Maryland. And then somebody responded with, "Dude, do you play Bolt Action at Games and Stuff? I play Bolt Action too. I've got they sent me a message and saying all this, and it's like, I've got Soviets. My friend's got Americans. What do you play? Are you excited for version 3? What are you excited for?" That's how I read it. Like, everything was exclamation point.
Yes.
I hate to let you down, but I don't actually play Bolt Action there. I play other games there, but it's whenever I get a chance to sort of call out my local store, I will. However, in 2 weeks, we've got John Russell from Warlord Games. He's going to be talking about version 3 of Bolt Action. So,
oh, cool. Hopefully,
that guy will jump into the chat as well and ask John a lot of questions. But yeah, should be super cool. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody. Josh says he's going to be doing a Tiddlywink deathmatch on his stream.
Excellent.
Looking forward to that. But oh yes, Josh says, speaking of Warlord, should we mention the crowdfund for Fat Bloke? So in case anybody hasn't heard, Paul Sawyer, aka Fat Bloke, who was the editor during the Fat Dwarf period of White Dwarf, was recently diagnosed with glioblastoma, I believe, like stage 4. It's essentially stage 4 brain cancer. And there is currently a GoFundMe open that his daughter is running to be able to make his final months more comfortable. So if you want to head to the Warlord Games Facebook page or Instagram, you'll be able to find that, find a link to it there. So head along if he gave you any joy during those years of White Dwarf, or since when he co-founded Warlord Games with John Stallard. Make sure you go and support him there. Thanks for calling that out, Josh. I think in 2 weeks' time we'll definitely have that link in the show notes. So otherwise, thank you very much, Dan, once again.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man.
Yep, absolutely awesome. We will have you back on again at some stage next season, probably. And we'll try and talk about something that we'll try and have you on with Jake.
Well, world might explode, but yeah, let's try that. Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. We are have a great time, and thank you very much to the Army Painter for sponsoring us. And as always, don't forget to build, paint, play.
Shut up and sit down.